Hello friends, so let's talk about xenobiotics today. Uh, it's a bit confusing, like something like an alien thing, but it's very simple. It's quite simple actually. Okay. The xenobiotics, when we're thinking, suppose think that you are a king, okay? Alright, you are a king. This is you. You have certain defense mechanisms. Okay. You have certain defense mechanisms. As a king, you will have an army. Okay. So you also have an army. There is big army which consists of say janissaries, bowmen, catapults, and all that. So this army can defend major ones, major enemies. But sometimes there are some minor enemies also that you need to defend. So you have, like, say, some magicians with you, okay, or say you have a gang of mercenaries, okay, mercenaries whom you keep as a reserve somewhere. So this will defend your fort, or it will defend you from minor enemies, minor enemies. Okay, so like that also, our body has a major army, like your cell mediated immunity, like your say innate immunity, your T cells, your B cells, your complement system, your phagocytes, all these attack or these protect your body from say organic invaders. Organic invaders, may it be viruses, bacteria, prions, protozoans, fungi, anything. All these are defended by your major systems, your janissaries, your cell mediated immunity. Okay, then bowman, your T cells, B cells, your catapults, your complement system. All this is your major immunity. What are they protecting you against? These cell mediated T cell, B cells, and all that, they are protecting against organic invaders. Okay, they are protecting you against organic invaders. You are like viruses, bacteria, protozoans, fungi, etc. But who is the one who is protecting you from minor enemies, like say any poisonous gas or drugs or environmental pollutants? Who is going to help you with that? Your mercenaries are going to protect you with that. Your magicians are going to protect you with that. So these are your cytochromes. These are your cytochromes. These cytochromes will prevent you from inorganic from inorganic material. Suppose you are going on a war, okay? You are going on a war. So in the war, you are going to fight with soldiers, okay, and you are going to fight with what do you say? And another kind of warfare called as bio warfare. Correct or not? I don't know if I'm making any sense right now. Bio warfare. Bio warfare, like the enemy, they can attack you with harmful bacteria or viruses which form pandemic like our corona, and bio warfare with chemicals like your chemical gases and all that. So this bacteria or viruses your body can defend with the help of your cell mediated immunity, whereas these chemical gases, they are being defended by these cytochromes. What I want to say is, basic thing you need to remember is, any organic invaders to your body like viruses, bacteria, what is that, prions, protozoans, fungi, all these invaders are contracted with your immunity. But what about the inhalants? What about the toxic things that you are taking in? What about the pollutants that are getting inside our body, which are not produced inside our body? So who is helping you with that? It is the cytochromes that are helping you with that. Okay, so what exactly is xenobiotic is how this cytochrome will react with this inorganic material to pacify them or to neutralize them. Okay, that is what is your xenobiotic. What is that? Cytochromes, your magicians, your mercenaries, how they are attacking these inorganic materials and neutralizing them from harming your body. All right. All right. Now, cytochromes, your cytochromes, what they do is they convert an harmful substance into an unharmful substance, or you can say a toxic substance to a non toxic substance. Simple. Okay. If you are converting a toxic substance into a non toxic substance, what do you call that procedure? Detoxification. Okay, so this is the first step. Whenever a harmful substance has come inside your body, detoxification is the step one. That is, it is first converted into unharmful substances. That is called as the phase one. So where are the cytochromes acting? It is the phase one. What are they doing? They are converting harmful toxic substances into unharmful non-toxic substances. Now these non-toxic substances are further converted into polar substances. Polar means hydrophilic, means water loving. If they are water loving, they can be excreted out easily. Alright. So this conversion of the unharmful substance into a polar molecule, that is a hydrophilic or water soluble molecule, so that it can be excreted out, this happens in phase 2 reactions, and phase 2 reactions are mostly conjugation reactions. Okay, understood? So cytochromes, these are your mercenaries or magicians. Conjugations, these are your cleaners. Okay, your disposal man. You kill your enemy. Okay, you kill him. His head is somewhere and his body is somewhere. So what happens is, these conjugating agents, they'll come, they'll conjugate it with something and they will dispose it off. That is your mechanism. That is how you manage your kingdom, big kingdom. All right. So cytochromes, what they are doing, they are detoxifying, killing the harmful substances. Those killed harmful substances are removed from the body by phase 2 conjugation reactions. All right. Okay. I hope you understood. Organic means your immunity. Inorganic means cytochromes. Cytochromes, what they are doing? They are converting harmful substances into unharmful, non-toxic substances. This process is what we call it as detoxification. Once these substances are detoxified, they are converted into polar molecules or water soluble molecules so that they can be removed out from the body. That is happening by various conjugating agents in a process called as conjugation. Okay, this is your cleaning or disposal mechanism. So two phases, phase 1 and phase 2. All right. Now we will see what cytochromes are. All right. Cytochromes these are proteins, obviously. All right. If you bind them with, or they are heme containing molecules, and they have a special property, that is in their reduced state. It is heme with iron. Okay, heme with iron. So in its reduced state, if it is bound with carbon monoxide, it absorbs a spectrum of wavelength 450 nanometers. Okay, in its reduced state, bound with carbon monoxide, it will absorb radiation at 450 nanometers. That is why these are called as cytochrome P450s. That is why they are called as cytochrome P450s, because their absorption is, these are enzymes or proteins which absorb cytochrome P4 or absorb wavelength at P450 nanometers or at 450 nanometers. All right. Now these cytochromes, they are usually there are so many of them, like about 200 and all. So we have kept a nomenclature for that. It is like, say, you are having CYP 3A4, something like that. Okay. So this first is your super family. Okay, it is your super family CYP. This 3 is family. This A capital letter is subfamily, and this numerical 4 is the gene that produces this protein or this enzyme. Okay, so these are proteins. They are heme containing. They contain heme, which has iron plus 3 state. Reduced state with carbon monoxide at 450 nanometers absorb maximum wavelength. That is why these are called as cytochromes P450s. These families have a specific nomenclature. The first 3 words are denoting the superfamily. Next, the number denotes the family. Then the capital alphabet denotes the subfamily, and the final number denotes the gene which produces this. Now these cytochromes, they are having 3 major functions. These cytochromes, they are having 3 major functions. The first one is oxidases. They work as monooxygenases. Oxidases. This is the most and primary function of a cytochrome. Then the second function is reduction. Oxidation, then reduction. All right. Then the third function is hydroxylation. Third function is hydroxylation. Now we'll see each of these in detail. So the first magic that your mercenaries or your magicians are having is oxidation. Okay. Or oxygenation. Here, cytochrome P450s, they act as monooxygenases. That means they are incorporating only one oxygen, OOO. only one oxygen. Alright. It's like if there is a molecule like RH, alright, this RH, when it is bound with cytochrome P450, takes in two molecules of oxygen, one NADPH plus H plus, forms ROH plus H2O plus NAD plus. Okay, NADP plus. This occurs in presence of your cytochrome P450. This is the general reaction that is occurring. Let us look at it, how it generally occurs. Now, you know that there is this hemoglobin, heme molecule, sorry. So there are 4 ends. These 4 ends bind with the iron molecule. Okay. Iron is in its fully oxidized state, Fe3 plus. Now, this iron is bound to our protein, cytochrome P450. This entire heme molecule is bound with the iron, with the cysteine here, with cytochrome P450, and one valency is vacant wherein oxygen will come and bind to cytochrome P450. Remember, it was similar for heme, except for it was a Fe2 plus. Alright, now this cytochrome P450, when a drug, a compound will come and bind to it, there will be structural conformation in this. I'll just write that, and RH has come and bound, and RH has come, and this cytochrome P450 is bound with it. Okay, so we'll write this as Fe3 plus and RH. Okay, imagine that cytochrome P450 is there. Now, to this substrate bound cytochrome P450, an electron is donated from NADPH plus H plus by the enzyme cytochrome P450 reductase. Once this electron comes, this ion now becomes Fe2 plus and RH. Once it becomes Fe2 plus, what happens is it takes in oxygen. It takes in oxygen Oxygen has come from here. Yeah. Now, when it takes in oxygen, what happens is it gives its electron to O2, which becomes O2 minus, and this becomes Fe3 plus back. And this becomes Fe3 plus back. It had taken one electron, become Fe2 plus. It has given back that, and it has converted back to Fe3 plus, O2 minus. Now here, another electron will be added from another reductase, cytochrome P450 reductase will send another electron, and this now will become Fe3 plus, O2 2 minus, and here RH. Alright. Now, this molecule will take two protons two protons from NADPH plus H plus, which becomes NADP plus, all right, and this becomes here Fe3 plus ROH, and a water molecule is removed. So these two hydrogen molecules react with one oxygen and it will form water. The next oxygen, which is free now, or which is in the form of a radical along with ion, it forms ROH, Fe3 plus ROH. In the next step, ROH is liberated out. ROH is liberated out. Okay. So this is how one oxygen is inserted inside the substrate, inside the drug. First, there was cytochrome P450. Iron is in fully oxidized state. A drug or a toxic compound has come and attached to the cytochrome P450. This will change the structure of cytochrome P450 so that it will accept an electron from NADPH from cytochrome P450 reductase. This electron will convert Fe2 into Fe plus 2, Fe3 plus 2, Fe plus 2. This will now bind with oxygen. When it binds with oxygen, it converts back to its oxidized state, that is Fe3 plus. Then it takes another electron and creates a peroxo radical, that is O2 2 minus. This is highly reactive. One oxygen will go to ROH, the other will go to two H plus ions that are coming from NADP H plus H plus. So these two H plus along with one oxygen molecule, it will form water, and the other is inserted inside the alkene chain wherein it forms ROH. This ROH is now detoxified. So a toxic substrate with the help of cytochrome P450 is now detoxified into ROH. Alright. So that is oxidation or oxygenation reaction. Second one is hydroxylation reactions. Hydroxylation reaction. In hydroxylation reaction, OH group is added. OH group is added. Here what we have seen, what group is added? Only one oxygen is added. O is added. Here what is added? Here what is added? Hydroxyl group is added. So here what happens is, first there is our cytochrome P450, P3 plus, okay, cytochrome P450. This cytochrome P450 will first attach here with an RH, first attach with an RH, okay, and this this cytochrome P450 first attaches with an oxygen. It first attaches with an oxygen, form Fe2 plus and here O2. First oxygen. Here oxygen was attached after RH was attached, after the drug was attached. But here the ion is getting reduced first only and it is getting attached with oxygen. It is taking an electron from your cytochrome reductase, okay, and attaching oxygen. Once it attaches oxygen, the compound or the drug which comes in, what this cytochrome P450 will do is it will break this and convert this into R minus and H plus. R minus and H plus. So this now becomes Fe2 plus O and H with an R minus. Okay. Now in the next step, this Fe2 plus forms a bond with this radical, okay, and it will release this ROH out and forms the Fe3 plus back, alright. So in hydroxylation, what is happening? A hydroxyl group is attached. How? First it gets reduced, attaches to an oxygen. This oxygen gets incorporated, or it forms a hydroxyl group with the oxygen and creates a drug radical or the substrate radical. In the next step, this substrate radical reacts with the hydroxyl group that has been attached to the ion. Then this entire hydroxylated substrate is released and cytochrome P450 is formed back. Okay, so that is hydroxylation. Third one is the reduction or reaction. In reduction reaction, what happens in reduction reaction is a compound, say SX, where X is a hydroperoxide or a halogen or a azo group or a nitro group or N-hydroxy functional group like your aldehydes. All these are reduced into SH and XH using your NADP H plus H plus. How is that happening? SX is getting converted to SH, SH, NADP H plus H plus gets oxidized to NADP in presence of your cytochrome P450. Okay, so three mechanisms by which or three magics by which your magicians are protecting you. One is oxidation or oxygenation reaction, wherein they act as monooxygenase. They incorporate one oxygen. Okay, so one oxygen is coming by this whole method. Then we have hydroxylation reaction, wherein a hydroxyl group is attached. This hydroxyl group becomes detoxified. Then there is reduction, wherein a hydroperoxide, halogen or an aldehyde group is reduced further by NADP H plus through cytochrome P450. Now let us look at where these cytochromes are acting. Like your cytochrome P450, the major enzyme belonging to the class CYP343A4. 50% of all drugs are metabolized by this enzyme CYP3A4. Very major enzyme that you need to remember. Okay, that is also for your cardarone, calcium channel blocker like amiodarone, or your anticonvulsant carbamazepine. All these drugs, they are metabolized by this. Okay, If you want to remember a mnemonic, I have a mnemonic for you. Call it as WARCAT. WARCAT. These are drugs metabolized predominantly by cytochrome P450s. That means they are going to ask you in exam. Okay, so these are the drugs which they will test you on. It is warfarin, contraceptive pills, then your anti-epileptics, codeine, morphine, theophylline. Okay. Theophylline. There are so almost all drugs, but these are the ones which are the major ones which have various interactions with inducers and inhibitors of what do you say, cytochrome P450s. So you have to be very careful while we are giving these drugs along with other drugs. Okay, so there are many drugs which are inducers, many drugs which are inhibitors of this cytochrome P450. Suppose there is an inducer. Inducer means it will increase the activity of CYP450. Okay, it is increasing. If it is increasing, what will happen to our WARCAT? WARCAT levels inside the blood will go down. Correct or not? WARCAT levels will go down. If you are giving an inducer, inducer will increase cytochrome P450. That means your drugs are metabolizing faster and the levels is going down inside the blood. Suppose there is a drug, say A, you are giving. Okay, and this A drug is bound with P450. Okay, and you are giving a drug B along with this, which is an inducer. If it is an inducer, what will it do? It will increase the activity of cytochrome P450 and the level of drug will go down. So what happens? There will be suboptimal therapeutic or suboptimal response or a therapeutic failure. That means you need to increase the dose, either increase the dose or you should think about giving another drug other than B. Okay, suppose you have given an inhibitor. What does an inhibitor do? It will decrease the activity of cytochrome P450. If it decreases the activity of cytochrome P450, what will happen to the levels of WARCAT? The levels of WARCAT will increase. If the levels will increase, they'll become poisonous. So if you are giving a drug which is an inhibitor of cytochrome P450, you have to reduce the drug of your WARCAT. Otherwise, it will become very toxic. You got my point. Inducer will increase the activity of cytochrome P450, which will metabolize the drug faster and it will lead to a suboptimal response or a therapeutic failure. That means even if you are giving your drug, it is not acting, it is not showing its effect. If you are giving an inhibitor along with the drug, okay, along with the drug A, what happens is, if it is an inhibitor, it will decrease the activity of cytochrome P450. If it is decreasing the activity, the drug doesn't get metabolized faster. If it is not getting metabolized faster, its level will increase and it will become toxic. So you need to do those adjustments looking at which is an inducer of cytochrome P450, which is an inhibitor of cytochrome P450 while giving these drugs to the patients. Obviously, suppose a lady is taking contraceptive pills and you are giving, she's also epileptic. So what you are giving? You are giving an epileptic drug along with a contraceptive. So there will be some reaction wherein either the contraceptive will not work or the anti-epileptic will not work, or both. Okay, so that will be a big disaster. Correct or not? All right. Now let us look at some of the CYP450 inducers. I have given you a mnemonic: bullshit car GPS. Remember it, easy to remember. Diagram is also there when you're smashing this GPS of the car. Bullshit GPS. B for barbiturates. St. John wort, which is a herbal drug. Then carbamazepines, CAR, carbamazepine, alcoholism, and rifampicin. Carbamazepine is an anti-epileptic. Alcoholism is, you know what alcohol is. Rifampicin is an anti-tubercular drug. Then GPS, griseofulvin, phenytoin, and sulfonylureas. Griseofulvin is an antifungal drug, anti-epileptic drug, anti-diabetic drug. Okay, so CYP 450 users, bullshit car GPS. This you please remember for your career, for your PG entrance, for your MBBS first year exam. Very, very important. You have to remember. There is no other option. You cannot afford to forget CYP 450 inducers and inhibitors. That is why you need to remember, make your own mnemonic. If you don't like this bullshit, you can prepare your own mnemonic. Okay. So coming to what are CYP 450 inducers, again I have made an IC mnemonic. Sip icy alcohol with some KFC. Okay. Sip icy alcohol with some icy alcohol for you to sip, KFC to eat. Okay. All right. Don't write in the exam alcohol and KFC. You have to write ciprofloxacin, isoniazid, chloramphenicol. Alcohol intoxication. Here it is acute alcohol intoxication. Valproate, anti-epileptic drug, sulfonamide, antibiotic, omeprazole, your antihistaminic, metronidazole, erythromycin, ketoconazole, fluconazole, or antifungal drugs. Antifungal drugs. So all these are CYP 450 inhibitors. What do CYP 450 inhibitors do? They'll decrease the activity of CYP 450. That means the level of drug will be increased inside the blood and it will become toxic. So whenever you are giving these drugs along with Warcat, you have to decrease the dose of Warcat. Whenever you are giving these drugs with Warcat, you have to increase the dose of Warcat because there is a chance that it may lead to therapeutic failure. All right. Now coming to final part, our phase 2 or the cleaning reaction. Phase 2 or the cleaning reaction, that is by conjugation. In conjugation, what we are doing is, suppose this is your non-toxic product from your toxic product. Okay, suppose this is your toxic product. It has converted to non-toxic product by your cytochrome P450 in phase 1. This, what you do is you attach with a compound, or say you're putting it in a bag. Okay, you're putting it in a bag and you're throwing this bag, this non-toxic fellow, inside the bag you have kept, and you are throwing him away. Your disposal mechanism. So to put this fellow here, you need a conjugating agent, or you are attaching someone. These conjugating agents are generally doing their normal activity like conjugating your bilirubin, conjugating your bile salts, but they also conjugate your drugs. Now, various forms are there. You need to remember 4G-SAM. 4G-SAM, another mnemonic, and 4G-SAM from Telangana state. Remember like this. Okay, 4Gs: glucuronic acid, glycine, glutathione, glutamine. Then we have your sulfation, acetylation, methylation, okay, and thiosulfation. Thiosulfation. Glucuronic acid, active compound is UDP glucuronic acid. Active compound is UDP glucuronic acid. Glycine, active compound is glycine. Here glutathione is glutathione. Glutamine is glutamine. Sulfation is your PAPS. Sulfation is your PAPS. PAPS is nothing but phosphoadenosine phosphosulfate. Phosphoadenosine phosphosulfate. This we also call it as active sulfate. Then for acetylation, it is acetyl-CoA, which is a conjugating agent. Methylation, it is S-adenosylmethionine, also called as SAM, or this is also called as active methionine. So active sulfate and active methionine. Thiosulfation, we are having the thiosulfate. So what are these? These are conjugating agents. These are conjugating agents. Now what are the enzymes involved in conjugating these? What are the enzymes involved? It is UDP glucuronyl transferase. UDP glucuronyl transferase. Glycine transferase. Yeah, you just attach transferase to everything. Glutathione S transferase. Glutamine transferase. Sulfotransferase. So these are your conjugating agents, your disposal army. Okay. N-acetyl transferase. N-acetyl transferase. Methyl transferase. Methyl transferase. And this is TS transferase. Alright. Now what are these compounds affecting? Which compounds are they affecting? Glucuronide mostly conjugates with your bilirubin, your phenol compounds, and your steroid compounds. Glycine with your bile salts. Remember, cholic acid becomes glycocholic acid and so on. Bile salts and phenol compounds. When it reacts with, sorry, not phenol compounds, and benzoic acid, and benzoic acid, and this benzoic acid will form hippuric acid. Will form hippuric acid. Then glutathione. Glutathione is for drugs containing alkyl groups, alkenes, and halides. detoxifies phenyl acetate to phenyl acetyl glutamine. Phenyl acetyl glutamine. Next, PAPS, mostly for phenolic compounds. Then we have acetyl-CoA for so many drugs, methylation reactions, S-adenosylmethionine for so many. Thiosulfate, you need to remember, is for cyanide. Various form of cyanides are there: hydrogen cyanide, potassium cyanide, sodium cyanide. So any kind of cyanide. Thiosulfate, in cyanide poisoning, what we do is we give sodium thiocyanate, sodium thiosulfate. What this will do is it will convert this cyanide into a polar compound, and this polar compound is excreted out. Okay, so that is why we give sodium thiosulfate in cyanide poisoning. So phase 2 reactions, you're taking a non-toxic substance, attaching a functional group or attaching a compound and making this totally polar. This polar compound is excreted in either urine or bile. Okay, mostly it is urine. So what are the different types? 4G-SAM-TS, glucuronic acid, glycine, glutathione, glutamine, sulfation, acetylation, methylation, and thiosulfation. All right, so this utilizes these enzymes on these compounds to make them polar. These compounds, once they become polar, they will be excreted out. Okay, so that is phase 1 and phase 2 reactions. In phase 1 reaction, what did we see? Phase 1, cytochrome P450, it acted upon various kinds of drugs in 3 different mechanisms. What are they? First is as a monooxygenase. Next, hydroxylation, and third is reduction. So by this it converted a toxic compound into a non-toxic compound. Next, in phase 2 reactions, conjugation occurred. Conjugation by our 4G SAM-TS, okay, and it converted this non-toxic into a polar substance which was excreted out. All right. Now let us look at the clinical significance. We have seen that in conjugation we require UDP glucuronide transferase. All right, this is the enzyme UGT. UGT is the enzyme. Now UGT enzyme is required for converting chloramphenicol into its metabolite, or your paracetamol, acetaminophen into its metabolite. Okay, salicylic acid. Now for this, UGT is required to make it more polar and excrete it out. Okay, so this will go and get excreted. Suppose UGT is not there. What will happen is the level of these two which require UGT mostly, their levels inside the blood will increase, and they will lead to two conditions. Increased chloramphenicol will cause gray baby syndrome, wherein it will hamper chloramphenicol because of its toxicity, myocardial toxicity, to lead to decreased oxygenation, decreased blood flow, and finally death. That is gray baby syndrome. Acetaminophen can cause Reye's syndrome in children. can cause Reye's syndrome in children. Alright. Then you need to remember about some polymorphism of CYP2D6. CYP2D6 polymorphism. Why you need to remember this is because it converts, this enzyme is responsible for metabolism of codeine to morphine. This is converting codeine to morphine. Codeine we give in cough generally. Okay. Now, if there is a polymorphism, if there are mutations and there are polymorphisms, we get different types of individuals. Slow metabolizers and ultra rapid metabolizers. Okay, ultra rapid, very fast and very slow. In slow metabolizers, codeine will be converted to morphine very slowly, very slow. So there will be decreased effect in these people. Whereas in ultra rapid conditions, what happens is morphine suddenly becomes toxic. Why? Because this codeine is metabolized very, very fast. So you need to know while giving this drug whether there are any polymorphisms in this CYP2D6. Okay. So these two things you need to remember clinically. There are other things also, but I think it's beyond the scope of this class. Let's quickly revise what we have read till now. So you are King Solomon, you are having soldiers, your immunity, Janissaries, bowmen, catapults, big army. It is fighting your major enemy, that is invading viruses, prions, bacteria, protozoa, fungi and all that. But minor army consisting of mercenaries or magicians which are having three different skills of hydroxylation, reduction and oxygenation. These are acting against the inorganic materials. So harmful substances which are toxic becomes unharmful or non-toxic by detoxification by phase 1 by this magicians or your mercenaries called cytochromes. Now these are again in phase 2 conjugation. They are getting converted to polar or hydrophilic or water-loving molecules which are excreted out early. So cytochromes proteins, they contain heme, iron, which absorbs at 450 nanometers in its reduced state. Then it is having three different skills, that is it acts as a monooxygenase, it helps in reduction and hydroxylation of drugs. So first was oxidation, wherein RH group was added first and oxygen later. Here a single oxygen is added. In hydroxylation OH group was added, and here oxygen was added first and the drug was acted later on. Then in reduction we are using NADPH to reduce any compound like SX to SH and XH. Then about cytochrome P450, you need to know the major enzyme CYP3A4. Other drugs which are acted upon and you need to be very careful are Warcat, warfarin, contraceptive pills, anti-epileptics and theophylline. Then CYP inducers, that is your bullshit cars GPS, and CYP450 inhibitors, CYP-IC alcohol with some KFC. Then phase 2 reactions involving conjugation, glucuronic acid, glycine, glutathione, glutamine, sulfation, acetylation, methylation and thiosulfation. Alright. Then some clinical importance wherein Gray baby syndrome and Rice syndrome can occur due to decreased conjugation with UGT. Then polymorphisms of CYP2D6, slow metabolizers and ultra rapid metabolizers. Alright. So with this we complete